Hello, it's Jack Gill and welcome to Redmen Academy. This is the youth transfer show. I'm joined by James, Tom Dutton and Ross Shanley.
Oh, I nearly
Ross,
forgot your second
I
name.
know.
Your first time on Redmen Academy.
Yep, I feel really old because you're all dead young and I'm not. It's fine. My last, according to James as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, see how it goes. Be fine.
but Tom, you're back. You're glad to be back.
Yeah, love it all the time.
You love the youth, don't you?
Love it.
Anyway, we're going to kickstart with Werner. I'm pretty tired of talking about Werner this week, considering I don't think it's going to happen at all. But young prospect, nonetheless, 23 years old. Tom, would be a good signing, wouldn't it?
He's been fantastic, and not just this season, not just last season, or the season before. He broke in 13-14, and he's been a consistent player throughout, and I think that's amazing. I mean, I looked into a few of his stats. 16-17, played 32 times, 21 goals, 7 assists. Next season, 41 games, 21 goals, 10 assists. And then 18-19, 37 games, 19 goals, 10 assists. They're numbers that he's putting out consistently. That's ridiculous for me. And for him to be such a young age, and I think that playing consistently thing is massive. Whatever price tag you're putting on him, if it's going to be like 60, 70, 80 mil, honestly, I kind of think that's worth it. I know there's been price tags like touted of like 200 mil, which is silly. But if you're going to go out there and buy someone of that quality who's been producing for a long period of time, you're going to have to pay that amount of money, I think.
That's on international level as well. He had that experience. I think the numbers of this season will probably surpass most of that. I think you get the versatility that Liverpool needed on top of that as well. I know we spoke about it on the news show today, but I think he's a complete package. Plus, I know you don't want the Mbappe stuff. This thing, because his contract's running down, and all the stuff that you get with him, I think it's a no-brainer. I think 60 was the rumoured fee, but if it's 90 for me, I still think that's fine. You could argue the case of, will there be enough game time for him, or is he cover the front three? I don't think it's a case of having cover. I think it's having rotation, someone to push the front three. Sadio Mane could go to a different level, which we're not ready for yet. If he's got someone on his tails, as much as Divock Origi and Shaqiri are good, this guy's even better.
It's planning for the future as well, though, isn't it? You know, he's only 23. Firmino's going to be 28 in the summer.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of good years left of Firmino. Then once he starts to drop off, we've got someone who's not even entering their prime. And
you're right.
He's a false nine too.
So you prepare yourself and embed him now into a squad rather than wait for Firmino to go, like you say, and then having, we've seen with Fabinho, Robertson take six to 8 months to come into the squad. You've got someone ready to go.
I think his stats this season as well speak for themselves, don't they? I mean, he's playing under a very good coach in Julian Nagelsmann, who is clearly getting a good level of football out of him, and I think Jurgen Klopp can do even more to him. And as you say, he's still young, and I think it would be an excellent signing. And with it being 50 million rumoured, that's perfect. When you're looking at the likes of Kai Havertz and Sancho and Mbappe, they're a lot more expensive, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think Werner's a lot more realistic.
Would he fit into our team? I don't know. That's the thing for me, is you've got to buy players who do fit in. I'll be honest, I don't really watch too much of him, so I don't know. I'm sure you two will know a lot more than I will. That's a main thing for me, is yes, you can have people who do a different thing. We bring Divock Origi on, and he's fantastic at holding the ball up, being an outlet ball when we need him to, if we bring him on later on into the game. I think he adds a different dimension, so maybe that's something that we will look into. But first and foremost, you want someone who can come in and just kind of do the business that we need them to do in terms of dropping off and playing the ball and being that ball before the final ball, if that makes sense.
I think he's a natural finisher as well, which we don't seem to have at Liverpool. Like Mane and Salah are really good at finishing, but is there any criticism that you have of that football team? It's they waste chances, whereas I don't think you get out Timo Werner. That's why stats for 3-4 seasons are the way that they are.
The amount of pace he has as well, he'd inject a lot more pace into an already very fast front line, and he would give us a different dimension. He's a very good finisher. You've seen from his volley at the weekend, he's good from outside the area as well. And I think, as James said, he plays in that false nine position too.
Especially this season.
Yeah.
So he said in an interview, didn't he, that Nagelmann's improved his all-round game and let him press, which he seems to be doing
and for him to get those numbers, playing deeper as well, is incredible.
Someone could emulate Bobby as well, because rival fans don't rate Bobby because of his goal record, but then we rate him because of the stuff that he does on the pitch. If you've got someone who can probably do both, I mean, that's even better, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that these sort of big money moves idea for Liverpool in the summer, do you think that will affect our academy? Obviously, we've seen Curtis Jones coming through. Harvey Elliott's had a good first season at the club. Do you think we're in danger of that being misshaped by big signings?
Not for those two. I think
Okay.
he probably, if it was another position, if it was, I know Werner can play out wide as well, but if it was like predominantly a winger, then I'd be worried for Harvey Elliott. But then he's only 16, so why should you worry about that? Curtis Jones plays a lot deeper, attacking mid, so I think his role is fine there. But I also don't think you should expect these players to break into the first team currently, because we're that good. And that's not criticism of them. That's just where we're at as a football team. Of going, Bruce has gone out on loan for a reason, not because he's crap. It's because how is he supposed to get a Firmino, Salah, and a Mane in that front three when Origi and Shaqiri can't do it? Experienced footballers. I just think it probably doesn't, in a sense, if they're not in Liverpool's first team, therefore they're not getting that experience at that level. But like going away on loan or doing other stuff, in Bruce's case, I think is perfect for him at that age, and the pressure's off him as well. He comes to this Liverpool side now, the demand's too high, I think.
I think there's definitely a case of saying it will have an effect, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. They're still definitely going to get opportunities. You saw Jones hasn't had many opportunities in this team. Just taking them with both hands to the point now where we're fine with him being in and around the team for me. And he's had what really 3 games?
Yeah,
4 games.
3 or 4 games.
You know what I mean? And in 2 of them, he's been the main talking point out of both of them, and that's what you've got to do. You've seen Trent did it when he first came in. You get one opportunity normally, and every single one of these youth players have kind of taken that. So yeah, I think the big money moves will affect it, because Jones is still, even though he's been fantastic, he's still way down the pecking order, massively down. But that's a good thing, like Ross speaks about. They shouldn't be breaking in now. They should be getting the glimpses and then developing on top of that, and then looking at these big money signings and going, well, I need to be better than that to even have a sniff.
I mean, this is the thing. I don't want to talk about it too much, because I know we're going to be talking about it later in the week. But with the Shrewsbury game coming up, you look in terms of what youth players you're going to put in there. And actually, with a lot of our squad players now coming back from injury, there's hardly any chances for those young players to get in. You can only really think of 2 or 3 that will probably start against Shrewsbury, James.
Yeah.
Do you think, would you much rather put more faith in the likes of Harvey Elliott or go out and sign a player like Timo Werner?
I mean, it's hard because obviously last summer we allegedly didn't go for a striker because we had Ryan Brewster waiting in the wings, and that hasn't really worked out for us the way that I think everyone expected. So it's quite difficult to sort of go down that route because we have given him the chance and he hasn't performed. So I think going for Werner, and then by the time that he's then past his prime, Brewster, if he's still around, will just be entering that sort of period of his career, won't he? Yeah. So if we're going to have him as the number 2 in a few years' time, then that's absolutely fine.
I think Bruce has come back from a massive injury as well. I think he's probably kind of hampered it. He's not taking his chance, and then I think he has had a couple of games, but then he's been injured again, hasn't he? So I think it was the Aston Villa game which he didn't play, which his name was all over that, and he should have taken that chance. But he can't help it if he's injured. Yeah,
the thing is as well, it didn't help that he was constantly in and around the first team, but just travelling with the squad and not playing in weeks, so he didn't have that constant game time when he was recovering from injury. So I think that was
the Kirby
difficult.
development will help with all that, won't it, in the next couple of years of just being able to look at the first team, go and join them, and then go back if he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, going into the same thing with the African Cup of Nations, do you also think that will affect the youngsters? Do you think, in terms of, not just from a Liverpool perspective, but do you think that there's a possibility that young African talents won't get as much of a chance in Europe with the African Cup of Nations being back in the winter?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Okay.
So it says it starts January 9th and ends February 6th. So
that's 4 weeks though.
That's if you go the whole way though.
8 games of football.
8 games of football for sure. But
and then they'll need a rest afterwards, time to recover.
It's true, but also I think I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. It is a bit of, when you're talking about young players anyway. If we're talking about Salah, Mane, and Keita and the like, then maybe. But I don't think it's going to dissuade teams from signing them, because you've got them for the rest of that season. For me, and they'll be getting a break in the summer. I assume. It's the Euros. They're not going to be playing in their own competitions, are they? I assume. So they'll get the break at another time when other players won't, and then they'll probably, to be honest, they'll come back February 6th, and then they'll have a week off anyway, because that's when we get the winter break nowadays in the Premier League. I don't think it's as bad as everyone is sort of kind of making out, because we will find rest for them. For me, anyway. I understand the other side of the argument, though.
Yeah, it definitely is a problem, I think. But in terms of African football and young African players, James. We've seen quite a few coming through recently, as football in the continent of Africa has grown. Do you think it'll cause any issues, or?
I mean, these young players aren't going to play week in, week out anyway. They'll be missing out probably on youth football, if they are even internationals at that stage in their career. So I can't see it really impeding them. But if they do go, they're going to be coming back completely match fit after playing so many games. They're going to be raring to go, aren't they? Especially if they have sort of a good run in the Cup too. I can't see any downsides to it, really.
There's a side of this that if they have a good AFCON, they could be signed in the January transfer window. To be honest, I mean, you see it all the time. James Rodriguez was one of them. He had a fantastic World Cup. Was it World Cup?
Yeah.
And he just was either that or the Euros.
Salas Jowner, that's chief. I'd boss World Cups and then we got on the back of it and
that's what I mean.
shit, and one was the knobhead, yeah.
Of course, but you might just get the one who isn't. Yeah. But and that's the thing.
That's what they might be hoping for. If it's a youth player, they might see some clubs as a stepping stone. I don't mean Liverpool, but they can break into someone's academy and then get that chance at an AFCON type of thing. That might put them in the spotlight to give them the chance to go and do it. I don't think it'll affect. I agree with James. I don't think it'll affect Premier League teams of not buying people. I think if they buy someone, they might be one player. I think it affects Liverpool a lot more because we've got 3 players. Yeah. But also, we're well stacked in midfield, and Navigator's been injured quite a bit anyway. And maybe that's where the team of Werner is coming. There's Divock Origi there, currently Shaqiri there. You might stay. So I think
Minamino's there.
Yeah, we're fine.
I think it's. I'm pretty certain that we'll sign an attacker in the summer though, as cover for the front 3, especially with the 2 going to the African Cup of Nations. Just to move away from Liverpool now, there's talk of Jude Bellingham from Birmingham City, very young, only 16. He's been linked with a big money move to Man United. I know Duncan Castles, I think it was, tweeted the other day that they were preparing a £25 million bid.
Don't cite Duncan Castles, Jack.
Just saying.
I know, I'm only joking.
But yeah, I know he's captain at youth various levels in terms of England, stuff like that. Very good player, 4 goals and 1 assist in 24 Championship appearances. Wolves have also been linked. He's very reluctant on joining because I think he's Birmingham born, enjoying his football. He's in the first team there. He doesn't want to just join up with an under-23s team. And he's a big player for Birmingham. But with the money talking, I think Birmingham might see positives to selling him too, because I know they're going through financial problems. What do you see with this, Tom?
I had a quick look at him. He looks really good.
Yeah.
Like, some of his passing is fantastic. The thing for me, and what probably will happen, we were speaking about a lad who played for Leeds and he's just gone to QPR, was it?
Jack Clark.
Yeah. I can see that happening, where he'll go, look, okay, you can sign me here. Birmingham will get a bit of dough, but let me stay here. I don't want to play for your under-23s. Let me stay here on loan because this is where I am. And I could see that happening. I think that'd be a great thing for him. Be great for whoever wants to sign him, whether that be United or Wolves. And I think it'd be great for Birmingham. It's just whether people are smart enough to do that, because it keeps him where he's comfortable. His head could go somewhere else, but if he's saying that he's reluctant to join already, he's already got a good head on his shoulders and good people around him. So I think if you're going to buy him, you've got to keep him at Birmingham for me.
Do you not think £25 million is a lot of money to spend?
Particularly
For Wolves, United are pretty stupid enough to do it. If you're going to buy £25 million, if Liverpool bought someone £25 million and he's back out on loan somewhere. I get that he's youth, and you probably, if he develops at Birmingham, which is what you're saying, then you probably get that back double if he's that good as promised. But it's a lot of money to spend on someone.
What I was going to compare it to is if we had signed Harvey Elliott for £25 million in the summer rather than picking him up at the end of his contract, would you be happy with that? Or would you think, bloody hell, we've overpaid for this lad?
Massively overpaid. Yeah. No, I don't even care about the asking price. I think, no one. I think for him, he's not thinking about the asking price at all in his head. It might go to his head. He might be told his mate, hey, I'm £25 million, but look, if someone's stupid enough to pay, I agree, you've got to be stupid to pay that. But if that's the asking price and you really want him,
I don't think he's stupid enough to pay for it. If he's £25 million, that's what he's touted at, he must be very, very good. But I think you'd be stupid to loan him back out. You're spending that kind of money. I think you want to run your first team.
But then you want the development. That's the thing is, why is he going to develop at United's under-23s or Wolves under-23s?
Well, Man United pretty much play under-23s now anyway.
Well, exactly. No, it's true, it is true, but I think Birmingham's his level right now, and he looks good there.
I quite admire the fact that he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to play under-23s football. I think they're so easy for you to go, like you just said, oh, Man United and Wolves, like that was me kind of straight off, Premier League football, I'm going, or a big massive club, not say Birmingham isn't, but you've got financial security, as you said, and people that you can learn off and develop off. I think it's really mature at 16 to go, I don't want to do that.
Been a big player for them this season. He scored at the weekend as well, and he looks a very good player, doesn't he, James? Do you think he is ready for the step up, or do you think staying at Birmingham would be the right decision?
He's already proved himself at championship level at 16 years old, so going to United and staying at their youth level isn't going to make any sense for him at all. He's already passed that level, and he's 16. He's just turned 16, didn't he, earlier on in the season, so if he's going to go out, he needs to go back to Birmingham, probably spend the next season there too, because there's no need for him to be knocking around United, getting the odd cup game at all. It's not going to do anything for him. And there aren't really any role models at United for him to sort of be mentored by, if we're being honest. And then maybe the season after that, a loan to a Premier League side, because that's where his trajectory is going right now, isn't it, really? In a couple of years' time, if he's absolutely nailing it in the Championship, then there's only one place to go, isn't there, really?
I think the only issue is if Birmingham need to sell. Yeah. I think in terms of their financial fair play thing,
that's a lot of money to that club, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and they've just been punished for a second time. There's rumours that they're going to have another points deduction, which would put them in the bottom three, and it's whether selling him, ticks a load of boxes for them, and sorts the club out.
It's fair. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I don't think he'll be asked. I think what he'll probably do is play till the end of the season, probably make a move then, and then hopefully someone with a bit of sense will be like, go back out on loan. Maybe not to Birmingham.
He needs to go back out on loan. There's no way he can stay at United for the rest of this season or next season, to be honest.
Well, could you argue the case that he might get into Manchester United side currently? If he's that good, and like I said, there's no role models there, and they're basing their policy on youth now.
I don't think he is that good, in terms of getting into a Premier League side. I don't think right now he gets into any Premier League sides. Maybe one or two, but I think it's a time thing. As you say, the first thing when I saw this was, Jesus Christ, 25 million, that's way too much. I don't think he's worth anything near that. He's a good player, but I think that's far too much. I think a lot of Birmingham City fans would think the same. Yeah. But it'd be interesting to know if you've seen a lot of Jude Bellingham. If you're a Birmingham fan, we want to hear what you think. Another one who was at West Brom last season moved to Barcelona in the summer. It was quite well spoken at the time. I know there's been some issues. West Brom have reported Barcelona over the deal. I don't think they've fully paid the money as well, Barcelona, and there's rumours that they illegally tapped him up. But they signed him in the summer. He scored on his youth debut for Barcelona, but now he wants to leave apparently. With all the managerial changes, he thinks he'll be out of favour. He's a Villa fan, and apparently he's about to sign for Aston Villa. The only issue is, I think Tottenham have just come in for him as well and joined the race, so Barcelona are using it to bump his price tag up. 16 years old, again, looks a very good player. The fact that Barcelona tapped him up, wanted to sign him. West Brom's academy are notoriously very good for picking up young talents. James, what do you make of this? Do you think it would be good to have him back in England?
I think Louis Barry's going to be a really good player in the future. He's only 16, playing for Barcelona's under-19s, and he's obviously scored on his debut, didn't he, like you said? But I think, obviously, managerial changes and things in his personal life might be pushing him more towards the exit door. So I got a feel for the lad, obviously, but I think whoever gets him are going to have a really good player on their hands in a couple of years' time. I
think La Masia has gone downhill massively, though, recently, hasn't he? I mean,
that's a bold statement.
No, it has. I read an article.
Because he's not...
It was on the internet, Ross, it makes it true. No, seriously, so, think of the players that they brought through recently. There aren't many, you know what I mean? And a lot of them have gone to other clubs.
That's not just their fault, though, is it? That's could be the quality of the player that you brought in.
No, it's the coaching staff and the board of Barcelona. Yeah. I read an article on it, Ross. For God's sake. Laughing at me.
No, but genuinely, Ross.
You know what I mean? They do research. Just state it off the sheet without notes on it. Anyway, no, but genuinely, the boards come in and are after bigger signings. They want ready-made replacements instead of these youth players. And I think he's probably looked at it and gone, well, then how am I going to get into the team? Look, he's still young, but then if they're changing their philosophy on stuff, what's the point when you can go to other places? And you were talking about other players who are playing first-team football. Jude Bellingham being one of them, just one of them, who's getting regular first-team football. Yes, it's not the biggest name, but he could go to Villa and play first team football there, and I think that would be massive for him. Thinking about development and being a better player in the future, just because you've been at Barcelona doesn't mean anything. You need regular football, and that's what the best players, the best young players in the world have done, is played regular top level football, and that's what he needs.
It's interesting as well with all this stuff about West Brom reporting, because it might mean that a possible transfer ban on the way for Barcelona. So
would that just be
keep
youth,
an eye
would
on
it?
that. No, I think it could
Oh, would it,
potentially be everyone, which is very interesting.
Good job they got La Masia to rely on, then, isn't it?
Yeah. But they've got loads of financial problems, Barcelona, as well, which is why when it comes to youth, they have to tap players up, because they have to, they can't
They
afford
don't have
the risk.
to, though, do they?
Well, they don't have to, though, but they feel to keep up their reputation. They can't afford the risk of paying sort of the money that's linked with Jude Bellingham and that for a player that might amount to nothing. I mean, we'll move on to Real Madrid now, because yesterday they announced the signing of Werner Jesus, South American talent.
Do you know who that is, Ross?
Yeah.
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 Where does he play?
Real Madrid.
He's meant to be a bigger talent than both Rodrigo and Vinicius, obviously.
Who makes these claims of like people are the next such and such, or they're going to be better than such and such? It's so hard to judge a youth player. These players might be really good in individual leagues, or in different setups, in different teams, and go to a Real Madrid. And like you said, it doesn't mean anything. It happens in Premier League transfers. Berbatov was amazing at Spurs. Went to United. United. Went to Fulham, didn't really do anything. It's the people that are the quality around you. If you go through a youth setup and you play with the same lads for 4, 5, 6 years who know how you play your style of football, I was like, you can go somewhere else and it's good as shit.
Yeah, this is the reason for it, James, isn't it? With the whole Neymar thing, they gutted that they missed out on signing Neymar and that Barcelona beat them to it. So they've splashed the cash basically and gone, look, we want the next big young talent. South Americans obviously always love playing in Spain. Obviously a big money maker probably for Real Madrid as well if he does become something. Do you think the price tag is borderline ridiculous?
I mean, this is the lowest they've paid for one of their Brazilian prospects, only 26 million, which does seem like a lot, but then you look at his stats, he got 6 goals and 2 assists in 14 for Flamengo last season. That's pretty good considering he's only 18 years old. And he plays the number 10 too, where he's not always involved. So I think they've got the next Kaká on their hands. And if they have got like even half a player Kaká was, then they're going to be laughing all the way, aren't they, to be honest?
Yeah, it will be interesting to keep an eye on it. And that's where I'd like to bring in sort of the comparison for Barcelona to Real Madrid there and what you're talking about, Tom. Because obviously we can see that Real Madrid are trying to build some future stars with that possible front three of Rodrigo, this signing called Werner Jesus, and players like that. Vinicius, obviously, another big one for them. But do you think that's where Real Madrid are sort of steering clear of Barcelona at the minute?
Yeah, I think they've seen, look, they paid a lot of money for people, but I think they're looking towards the future now to learn underneath these brilliant talents, and I think it's the right way to go. It's the way that you've got to go now. I think you're seeing so many young players now stepping up, and it seems like the peak age is dropping every year. You know what I mean? You're looking at it and going, these defenders like Joe Gomez, like he's not even hit his peak yet, but it seems that he has. You know, if that makes sense. And there's so many players around there who are stepping up. Jadon Sancho, just being one of them. Haaland and stuff like this. So Mbappe, yeah, exactly. And it's great to see, but that's the thing. Barcelona have been burnt there as well, and Real Madrid will have seen that. They'll have gone, oh, they paid a lot of money for Coutinho. What's that done? I think the last time Barcelona spent a lot of money on a player and it really worked out was Suarez, and they won the treble, and he added something new. I think there's still ways to do it, but you've got to pick your big money signings so well.
Do you think Real Madrid have got an unfair advantage? You know, because obviously they're funded by the king, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
So like they can go and spend £26 million. It probably doesn't really matter to them. It's probably nothing. But whereas other teams in La Liga won't get a sniff at players like that, you could argue could develop them better.
Yeah, it is very unfair, Spanish football, in terms of how it's governed, in terms of the whole structure of Real Madrid and Barcelona. It is stupid, and I do think that is a factor in it. But as Tom said there, I think Barcelona have spent poorly in the last few years. I think they're still regretting selling Neymar as well, because they've never properly replaced him. And I think that...
Bought Coutinho, didn't they?
Well, that worked for them.
Griezmann
and
too, of
the whole
course.
thing, they've bought Griezmann, but that's not really, nothing's happened yet, but I suppose he's only had a few months at the minute. Ousmane Dembele, nothing's come of that.
Well, Real Madrid are still spending a lot of money on players.
Yeah.
They've literally just brought Hazard in. You know what I mean?
And he's not come to anything so far.
Maybe
either,
they're looking at it and going, maybe like Hazard's great, but you can buy a youth player and train him up through your system and get him to learn your philosophy under a manager, and hopefully that works out instead of bringing someone in who maybe might not fit, but he's a well beaten at Chelsea. Does he fit in at Real Madrid?
We're staying in the Spanish leagues and Real Madrid, really. A player that I want to talk about, and I've been meaning to talk about all season, James, to be honest, is Martin Odegaard. Obviously, a few seasons ago now, he signed for Real Madrid, meant to be the next big thing. Got a lot of talk at the time. 17 years old, I believe, at the time when he signed for them. He's had his loan move to Real Sociedad, one of Sociedad's best players this season.
Without a doubt.
He's looking outstanding, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's got, 4 goals and 5 assists in 19 this season. And he did well in Holland last season too. I think he was their top creator out of pretty much everyone there. So it was going to happen. He needed to go to Spain to get those minutes because he's too good for the Castilla side. And he wasn't happy. I think he felt lied to when he started getting played at that level. I think he was under the impression that he'd be getting minutes for first team, but that didn't really work out because he was just way too young at the time. But I think he'll definitely walk into that team next season, especially with their midfield aging too.
Do you think there's a case to feel sorry for Odegaard? Obviously, he went there under a serious amount of pressure, very young talent, and he's had to, he was slated, told he'd never get to anything really, sent on these 2 loan moves, and he's had to work his way up. Do you think that's good mentality from him?
Yeah, I think it's fair play for him. I remember all the talking on him, thinking, wow, and then I didn't see him. I didn't really keep up to date with him at all, but I was just like, where's he gone? He was meant to be massive. And then I heard he was out on loan, and I thought, straight away, I thought either that's a mentality thing, Real Madrid don't want him, they've just bought him to stop other people getting him or something like that. And I started seeing him, and it sounds weird, but I started seeing him on YouTube compilations and just thinking, like, popping up all over my YouTube feed, and I was like, okay, so he must be playing all right. Watched a few of them, so he was quite tricky with the ball, playing against not great opposition, to be fair, but you've got to you've got to make them look silly, and he did, to be fair. I haven't honestly seen too much of him. I don't really follow La Liga too much, but it's one of, well, if he starts playing for Real Madrid's first team and starts breaking through, fair play to him. He's done it the long way.
That's in contrast to Jude Bellingham before. When you're talking about him going off and you think if you see Real Madrid coming for you, 17 years old, you don't even think about it, like, I'm off. I think he's probably been mishandled. I don't think it's entirely his fault, so I do feel sorry for him. If you're that young, you're not wise enough to kind of make your own decisions and kind of your own destiny. I think you kind of see the flashy lights of Real Madrid and go for it. Whereas had he signed for them and then he was loaned out straight away, probably because he was playing in their youth setup for a bit, wasn't he? And I think the pressure for the price that you pay for him and all the stuff, the media hype that came with it, it's a lot for a 17-year-old.
Yeah, there's a big difference in opinion with their supporters as well, because obviously, as we just mentioned, they've got a few young players coming through all at once, and I know they've loaned another player out, Elena, to Real Betis, haven't they?
The Barcelona.
Barcelona have, yeah. So I think a lot of people are comparing the two against each other, and Elena has had a better season than Odegaard. Yeah, they certainly are, and I know we had a shocker against Betis the other day. Apparently, in a lot of the big games this season, he hasn't shown up. But as we say, he's still very young.
He's 19 years old.
Exactly, he's still bringing himself through, and I think he is going to turn out to be a good player. I think he won't get in the Real Madrid team next season. If I'm honest, I think he'll be sold. But that's.
I mean, his value's gone up to estimated 45 million on from quite a few different sources. So wherever he goes, he's not going to be cheap, because I think Madrid know that he is good. He is going to be a cracking player in the future.
Well, he's a key player for Sociedad, and I wonder if they go all out to try and sign him.
They've got players they can sell and maybe bring him in.
Yeah.
So I think the expectancy they're on these youth players is just far too much. I think you're right. Real Madrid fans are just horrible. Like, look at Gareth Bale, for example. Yeah. Like, he's won them trophies.
Didn't overhead kick in the Champions League final to win it.
Oh, that goal against, was it Atletico, where he's running down the wing and like he gets shoved into the dugout basically, and he scores a winner, and they hate him. It's like, what do you want from him? So a 17-year-old, I think they must assume, right, he's going to hit the ground running. Football's not like that.
And they've already written off that Vinicius Junior already.
Yeah.
Have they? Yeah. He's brilliant.
Well, I mean, he's been slated quite a few times for having the WEM product, but he's 18, 19 years old. Yeah. Like,
it's
what
just
do you
Spanish
expect?
football, though. They do it with everyone. It's Barcelona with Ansu Fati at the minute as well. They're having a similar problem. And
I hope it becomes the demise of the clubs.
This is why I was so glad we got Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, because I absolutely hate Spanish teams, because the whole league's like it. They expect so much from players, and then when they come, look at Coutinho. Look, I know we didn't get off to the best start with them, and I know it's funny from our perspective, but it's quite disgusting the way they just disregard him so quickly. If that's another club, I think if that's someone in England, they give him more time before just loaning him out straight away. Look at Paul Pogba. Yeah. Like he's still at United. He's still he's on about leaving now, but they still give him the respect he deserves because he's still a very, very good player. Yeah. But with Coutinho, it's just you've not been good enough yet. Get out of here.
The league is on its way out anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, not on the way out, but it's definitely having a dip.
Bubble's going to burst, isn't it?
100%, and I think just purely because the amount of money that's getting put at the top, I think I just think teams will just go, what's the fucking point?
Well, when they talk about this whole European Super League as well, it's always the La Liga teams that apparently want that, isn't it? Because there's such a big gap between the teams. But yeah, to move on from Martin Odegaard back to the Premier League, really talk a bit about Man United. Obviously, Rashford's just got injured. James, we spoke about Greenwood a lot this season. Obviously, they were compared at the start of the season, Greenwood and Brewster, and Greenwood's had a lot more chances than Brewster, hasn't he? Do you think this is really Greenwood's time to shine now?
I mean, he's shown this season that he can perform. He's got 9 goals in 27 games, I think, in all sort of substitute appearances and everything. But the opposition he's been playing against isn't really the highest level, is it? Like Farmers in Europa League, So I think he'll get minutes. I don't know whether he'll get as many goals the United fans are expecting, but they're also after Moussa Dembele, aren't they, from Lyon for 40 million. So whether he'll be brought in and that'll block his path, I'm not too sure.
Do you think, Ross or Tom, do you think they need signings, Man United, or do you think they can rely on Mason Greenwood?
No, I don't think it. I think they definitely need signings. That's not a criticism of Mason Greenwood. I grew up in a period of football when Man United dominated Premier League football, and it's not hard for me to watch. I just find it hard to comprehend of how far they've fallen. It happened to Liverpool, and I look at some of their I look at the manager and look at the players, and from what I was brought up in, they're not Man United standard players. That's not criticism of them. I don't think Rashford should be the main guy at Man United, and that's not criticism of him either. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I think he's absolutely brilliant. But all we're talking about the pressure before you pile onto these youngsters and the expectancy that you put on them to go and produce. It's too much because the demands of football in the Premier League and European competitions or wherever is already too much. It shouldn't be all on his shoulders. There should be people there for him to look up to. When you joke about it before, saying there's no one for them, for them to look up to is true. Yeah. But Rashford's 19 years old. He should have someone. What I grew up with, Dwight York, Andy Cole. Tevez has been there, Rooney's been there. All these players always had someone. Cantona you can go and look up to, and it's the same for most of the team. They're not the standard that it's a Man United winning team. The managers are probably the same, but I think we might have to rely on youth because, and it's the part of the problem I have with the manager. If I don't think he can attract players of a high calibre because they don't respect him as a manager.
I
and Poch might be there, he might not have won anything, but I've seen signs of his track record, of what he's done in terms of improving plays, improving youth, getting to a team to a Champions League final. Whereas, we take the piss quite a lot, but someone who's managed Molde and Cardiff, if I'm a world-class player, I don't look at Man United and go, I want to play for him.
That's the thing.
If you're a youth player, you're fine because you're thinking I'm getting a chance at whatever. Is it Brandon Williams at left back?
Yeah.
I think he's class. I actually really like him. He's got a bit of gnarl about him, a bit of bite. And I think, again, it's a lot of pressure on him, but I think he's kind of stood up to it.
Yeah.
He's competing with Luke Shaw, who's been out of favour and out of a buffet at the same time as well. But he's pushing him, which is good for him. But again, Man United fans probably prefer him at left back. That shouldn't be the case. Luke Shaw should be setting an example to people like him.
That's the whole thing with Pochettino, isn't it? He brings that pull for United, whereas at the minute nobody wants to play for a Norwegian PE teacher apart from these young players. Yeah. And that's the thing. This whole Bruno Fernandes talk at the minute, I know a lot of people who were saying it was done last week and now all of a sudden Sporting are asking for more money. And that's because they know what Man United are like. They know their track record.
They're desperate.
They know that, exactly. And they know they're a club that when you say, pay an extra 20 million, over the last few years, United have gone, here you go, here's an extra 20 million. So they know they can do that. I do want to talk about Rashford, though, as well, Tom, because I think the way his injury was managed in the first place was just awful for Man United.
Yeah, no, it is bad, and it stems from just, I don't want to take it to Liverpool because we are talking about United, but if you look at the back room that Liverpool have kind of created, and everything's just fantastic. Everything's world class throughout the club, like whether that's the chefs or the just even the
The food is good, like.
genuinely, I watched it. They brought in I think it's a German woman,
Yeah.
and she's brilliant. Like, she knows, she has specific meal plans for each person, and if they're injured, specific meal plans. Everything's thought about, everything's done. I don't think Man United have anything near that. Anything near that, and I think for them to be... Look, there's some players you can run through the pain barrier, and like Luis Suarez could do it where he just get knocks. James Milner can do it where he just gets knocks.
All the time.
Salah does it, but I think you've got to... He's so young. Like, that's going to affect him later on into his career as well, just not this season, throughout his career, and it'll be one of them where, like, Michael Owen came out and said, Liverpool ran me into the ground when I was a kid. It's going to be the exact same, and it's because United are relying on him.
Well,
it's what happened with Sterling, with us.
That's the thing, isn't it? There's no surprise he's fractured his back when he's carrying the whole weight of Man United on his shoulders.
Oh, was that the whole
Yeah,
setup?
that's a little
That's
setup,
the
that
only
one,
reason that was in the agenda. Yeah, it was
No,
nice. It was
but
nice.
yeah, it's definitely an issue, and you know, you look at, as you say, when you compare it to Liverpool, you see how Trent and Klopp constantly comes out and says, look, Trent is still very young, we need to rest him when we can, but Rashford is literally United's main player, and they're playing him on Monday nights when they're playing, and then Thursday in the Europa League, and then on a Sunday. That's 3 times in 6 days that he's been playing at times, and he is their focal point. And
Imagine saying to him at such a young age, and I know Lukaku was a bit out of favour at Manchester United, but like, look what he's doing at Inter Milan now. He's clearly being mismanaged in all that he was supposed to be doing.
He's a goal scorer, isn't he?
He's a goal scorer, yeah. Go and be Lukaku at 19 years old. It's impossible.
it's like, for me, there is weak mentality, even from the point where you've gone, we've got Wolves in the FA Cup, we'll have to put Rashford on the bench because we might not be winning the game, so he might have to come on, even though he's got a dodgy back, even though he's struggling, he might have to come on in case we're not winning later on. That is poor right from the start. It should be, look, he needs a rest, he's been struggling, we've got Liverpool at the weekend, at Anfield, we need to, don't put him in the squad. But this squad should be good enough. I know it's not good enough, but when you're Manchester United, it should be a good enough squad to be able to beat Wolves without a young Marcus Rashford in that squad.
It's rumoured today that Cavani wants out of PSG. Manchester United should be all over that.
But they won't, because Cavani is going to have offers from Chelsea, Tottenham, teams like that. Frank Lampard has more of a pull than Solskjaer because he's doing a lot better job than Solskjaer. I know in terms of games and people draw me to their league, they're not that far behind Manchester United, but
as a club,
they're exciting
you can
to
have great
watch.
respect for him,
Exactly.
even as a player. I think he's a much better player than what Solskjaer was.
And it's like Cavani will take one look at the Tottenham and probably go, I want to go there, or even Atletico Madrid, who are apparently interested playing.
They've
for
got a great
Simeone.
record of number 9.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think for United at the minute they have no pull, and we'll talk about Haaland right now. If Solskjaer and Man United were apparently really in for Haaland at the time, if Solskjaer couldn't even pull a Norwegian player to Manchester United, who can he sign?
And he's brilliant as well, Haaland.
It's selling the project, and that's Haaland came out and said, like, I went to Dortmund, I spoke to the CEO, I spoke to the manager, they told me what they wanted to do, and what the vision was. Well, Manchester United should be all over that, shouldn't they? And obviously he's not happy with where they are at the level. Dortmund are going places.
And it's the same thing though. We're talking about United playing youth. Dortmund are playing youth, but they're playing them properly.
They're doing it the right way.
Yeah, they've got Brandt in there, who's fantastic. They've got Sancho on the left, fantastic. Now they've got Haaland coming in, fantastic. They've got other great players in there that I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know what I mean. But I think, like, I watched the highlights in this game. Terrible defending from Augsburg. Like, and to be fair,
was it
awful
4-3 in the end?
5-3.
Yeah.
Awful defending from both teams, to be fair, but great finishes. That first one is Brewster-esque. He's not as good as Brewster, but but fantastic finish into the bottom right. I think it was one of his first touches of the game. And the other two were just clinical, being in the right place at the right time. But the third one was a bit of pace and a nice little finish into the goalkeeper. Yeah, well, the second one was a tap-in, to be fair, but and then you see even the Sancho one, he could have been there and scored that one. And I think Dortmund are a scary team, kind of like Ajax were with all their youth players coming through. They're doing it the right way. Them two teams doing it the right way with the youth. United have young players there that they could do it right. They're just shit. The management's shit.
In defence of Man United, slight defence, they're in transition, aren't they?
Are they? I think they're going backwards.
No, but they're in transition of like they're trying to integrate youth.
Why are you defending United?
I'm not. I'm just.
You are-
There's
you just
obviously
said
there's
in
two sides to the
defence
coin.
of
Whereas
United.
you don't want to be doing this for years.
I think
Whereas
that-
United have gone from spending big bucks and like as like the bag of Arnie, they don't want to do that anymore because they don't want to spend the big bucks and the big wages on people because their wage structure is completely screwed. Whereas they're in transition centre, they're trying to reverse that and develop all the youth, but they're in the middle of doing that. Because, well, they haven't got a choice anymore, have they? Like the likes of Alexis Sanchez, they're still paying half his wages.
true.
He's at another club. They need to get rid of all that stuff before you can do that. But you're right, they are shit. But also, I know, they're
But
also
they'll be
halfway
seeing
through.
their own problems. They'll be seeing the fact that they're not able to attract players like Bruno Fernandes and that they're not able to sign players like that. And they'll be looking at this and thinking, you know what, we need to, something needs to change. And maybe at some point they go, Solskjaer will get Poching, but I'm hoping he stays there forever because he's just making a mockery of him.
It's good.
Yeah. So that'll be fun.
I'm enjoying.
But James, in terms of Haaland, obviously we know scored a hat-trick at the weekend on his debut, came off the bench, 20-minute hat-trick. Nice and easy for him, isn't it? Like, we saw him do it in the Champions League, so we know he could do it at a good level. But for me, this was like, you know, like when you, like, actually, he
He's
could be
stepped
a very,
up, hasn't he,
very,
now?
very good
Yeah,
player.
like, I mean, he got 32 goal contributions in 22 games for Salzburg, 28 goals, 4 assists. That's ridiculous. That's world-class level, and all he's done is translate that to a higher level.
The thing is with
Perfectly.
Haaland, I always thought, look, yeah, he's done it in the Austrian League, and then I was interested to see how he does it in the Champions League. I know they managed him well in the Champions League, so like at Anfield, he didn't start that game. He came off the bench, didn't he? And I think for me, it was when he went to Dortmund. Okay, let's see how he does there. And then it was almost as if it was sat forward on your chair, like he's going to be some player, isn't he, Tom?
It's the perfect place for him to be, like I say. They're developing youth. They've got really good talent, really pacey side. They need someone to finish goals off. That's what he does. That's his literal bread and butter, is just being in the right place at the right time and having a finish. That's it. He's brilliant.
That one game's resulted in Alcacer being offered out on loan to pretty much every side in Europe now after one game.
Yeah.
Like, he's that good.
Yeah.
And I think they're planning on rotating him this season too. You score a hat-trick on your debut after coming off the bench, you're going to be starting the rest of the season, aren't you?
Yeah.
I feel sorry for PSG because we might see another round of 16 exit for them because they've really, you know, with the whole rule that they've changed with you're allowed to play for 2 clubs in one season in the Champions League. I can see Dortmund going far in the Champions League now, I really can. They've got a very good young side that know how to score goals, and the Champions League is a lot to do with scoring goals, and we've seen there from Haaland bagging a hat-trick, Sancho very, very good.
There's no
Grant,
fear with them, is there, as
yeah,
well? I
exactly.
think you're talking about a youth side. I think you can kind of be hesitant to that, but I think you're right. They might go into PSG and go, we might be fancy ourselves here.
Fantastic home stadium as well, isn't it? They get a lot of support from the crowd, and I can see them going forward. I think they'll be underdogs in this Champions League. Anyway, just to finish, I gave you all a task of picking a youth player that you personally are interested in the most, and you think is a player that everyone needs to watch for the rest of the season and beyond. So James, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so out of Alphonso Davies, he's a winger, Canadian winger. He's been capped 17 times and he's only 19. He's been playing as a left back for Bayern this season, and he's just class. He's come straight into the team. He's Alaba V2. He's not a natural defender at all. He's not really, wasn't comfortable going there at first, and he's just said, I've learned so much since coming in. And I think he's going to be probably one of the best left backs in the world, or best wing backs in the world in a few years' time.
He's got a lot
Not
of people
well.
to kind of learn off there
Yeah,
as well,
exactly.
hasn't he? That's the best part about that. Is you've got, even on the right-hand side, I forget his name, I can't remember. Kimmich.
Yeah,
Unbelievable
quality.
player, young as well. You've got someone there, oh yeah, we want you to play like him, and he's gone, okay, okay, I can do that.
Bayern, in the last few years, they've been through that problem, haven't they, where, you know, the likes of Robben and Ribéry have retired and they've been in that rebuild and they've turned to youngsters. I know they've been interested in Hudson-Odoi, haven't they? They've brought in like Kingsley Coman, Serge Gnabry, players like that, and they are starting to look very good, and Alphonso Davies is one of the players that is taking them forward. Kimmich as well, very diverse, very good young talent. So that's good. I think that's a good pick.
I'm also annoyed that we were after him. We've tracked him for 3 years and we didn't get him. But
He's never
we've
going
tracked
to be
everyone,
the
to be
best
fair,
left back
so.
in the world while Andy Robertson's still alive,
Exactly.
is he? So anyway, next, Tom.
Well, you asked for someone to keep your eye on that you might not know. Everyone knows him, but it is De Ligt, and I think I just kind of went through his stats because I was looking at it and I was thinking he's not been around for ages, but I said it before and you were like, he's not a youth player. He's not a youth player, but he is. He's only 20. He's number 4 for Juve, which says all you need to know.
He's not been playing recently though, has he?
He's had a pretty poor season.
Yeah,
but
he's
had an upturn in form.
He's been on the bench. He's been on the bench the past couple of
He had
games.
an upturn in form anyway. So we're talking about Werner and playing a lot of games consistently. That's what he does. That's what De Ligt does. He was the youngest player to start for Holland at 16. He's captain of Ajax, the youngest captain of Ajax. The youngest captain in the Champions League knockouts, he was 19. He was the second youngest scorer for Ajax after Seedorf on his debut. He's a threat from set pieces. He plays alongside Virgil van Dijk in the Holland setup. He pretty much plays every game apart from what Ross has just told me. But he plays a lot of football. And if he's playing that consistently, a high level, fair play. I think he's going to be brilliant.
I think De Ligt's been a victim of his own talent this season. I think obviously he was under a lot of pressure in the summer. Loads of teams fought over him. Juventus got him for a hefty price tag. He's come in, they've got a new manager, you know, they like 3 at the back, don't they? Juventus, so it's a whole different system for him to learn. And I think he has struggled to fit in at first. It'll be interesting to see how he develops. So he is a very good young player. He's a leader, as you say. He'll be playing alongside players, very well-established centre-backs, as we've said, Van Dijk in the Dutch team. And I think he will be a very good player in the future.
I don't think it's a criticism if he's not played the past couple of games. So I remember being shocked when I saw the article, like thinking he was on the bench and it wasn't quite working out for him. But you're right, you think of who he's behind, like fucking Chiellini and all these players. Are like going, well, you're not going to because they're stalwarts of Italian football and they have been for years.
And that's the thing, he has been shaky this season. There have been moments where everyone's been like, why? He's not as good as people said he was before the start of the season. But I think, as you say, he's gone to a very, very big club now in the Serie A, a competitive league. I know Juventus have walked it the last few years, but it's getting more competitive now. I know there's been problems with how Sarri's running Juventus at the minute as well. So I do think that he's a player more for the future, not necessarily for now. And I think he's, as I said, he's a bit of a victim of his own success last season with how far Ajax went in the Champions League. But I think in the next few years he'll come good again and he'll do well for Juventus. Ross, your player?
I picked someone that we all know as well. It's Ryan Brewster.
Okay.
A couple of things. The reason that you mentioned before, the fact that he was fast-tracked into the Liverpool side and he hasn't really kicked on since then. I know he played. He made his debut against Cardiff. He played at the weekend and scored a good goal against Wigan. You know, and there's already talk of him like they like his style of play and what he does. I just think it'd be dead interesting to see how he develops in the Championship and how his goals ratio, his performance is. I think he's come out today and said like the training's intense at Swansea as well, so he's put his bang up for it. I want to see all this hype that we've had at Liverpool. It's not criticism of him not making it at Liverpool just yet, but go and prove yourself. I think he's got a fantastic opportunity to go and do that under someone that he used to play for before.
For me, I am so excited by Brewster's loan move. I think he looks in his first 2 games for them. He looks like he's a man out to prove a point. Yeah. And he looks.
The pressure's off him as well.
Exactly.
Sorry, there's pressure at Swansea, of course there is, but it's not the same as coming to the Liverpool side as I've just mentioned. They're going right, go on, hit the ground running, do what Firmino does week in week out because he can't.
I think he's gone there knowing that he's worked for the manager before. You know, he knows the manager. He knows that he's going to get regular game time in the team, and as you say, there's no particular pressure on him. He's a very good young talent, and if you put him in that team, if you give him regular game time, he is going to score goals. And I think Brewster's a very good pick because I think in terms of how he does at Swansea, he wants to prove a point. He knows what was said at the start of the season. You know, he knows that he did that sort of thing where he went into the Barbers with his Champions League medal on. He knows he needs to show. I know he's won the Champions League age as young as he is, but he knows he'll want to get regular game time and prove the player that he is. You know, at a first team standard, and I think he's a player that will want to be in Klopp's plans next season. And we're talking about a signing forward. Brewster will want to go back to Liverpool in the summer and go, look, you don't need to because I'm ready now. I've had that regular game time. I've had a long period of time without being injured, and I'm ready to prove that I can get into this team. And
I don't see what the rush of some players, because it just made me think that if Werner comes in, that probably hinders his development at Liverpool. There's no reason why he can't go somewhere for 3-4 years and then come back.
Yeah.
Would he be then 23, 24?
Especially with
still
all
a
these
young
buyback
age.
clauses.
It's still not his prime, is it? You're talking 25, 26, 27 of being your prime as a striker. There's no reason why he can't hang around at Liverpool and keep hold of him.
Even doing what we did with Harry Wilson, so maybe next year if he does well at Swansea, loan him out to a Premier League team, have a whole year in the Premier League, come back when Firmino's
Be the second man then,
exactly,
behind Werner.
and step ahead of Firmino while he sort of gets older. So yeah, the player I pick is Curtis Jones. I think, young Scouse
You
talent,
both picked the easy ones. What are you doing?
very good player.
How come
coming
you pick
through.
one of the most expensive defenders in the world?
Yeah.
And I
Look
had
at
to
all this
Google it as
research.
well.
There is loads of research there.
There is a lot of research on Alphonso Davies, and you've probably done the same on Delit, but
You also said pick someone that we've never heard of, and there's only James that's done it.
Yeah, he was
I've
actually
heard
top
of
of the list
Alphonso
that I looked
Davies.
at.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's a good player. But no, I think for me, I wasn't going to join in for this, but I've said to James all season, I can see big things coming of Curtis Jones.
Yeah.
We looked this time last year how much he's come on from then. It almost is to me like when Trent got his debut against Leeds in the Cup, and he was told to bulk up, and he's gone and done it, and then you saw him and he was getting regular game time after that. I can see that with Curtis Jones, and for me, the only issue is the position he plays is very hard to walk into a team like Liverpool at the minute where we're doing so well. I think if he was at any other club in the world, he'd be getting more chances right now, and that's not a criticism of us. That's just saying because of how well we're doing, he's sort of low down in the pecking order.
I think the mentality
he's
he's
such
got
a good player.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
If you think about the two things that he's come in and, like we were speaking about him before, and the main things that stand out are he scored a penalty to win the game and he scored a rocket in the top bin. And I think his mentality will have been fantastic anyway. We've seen that in the youth setup. I'm sure you've seen it week in, week out over there. But I think just the fact that he can go in there and kind of walk about, and now he's got massive bollocks on himself because he's just like, I can do this and I can do this, and the world's seen it. More importantly, Jurgen Klopp's seen it. So I think he's given himself such a big boost there. It's just whether we keep him around the first team setup or whether we put him out on loan. Either way, I think he'll become a success. It's just what he can do in the coming years.
I love his attitude because I think it was post Everton of going like, I've had a taste of first team football, like I want it again. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. I don't think it's an ego thing either or an arrogance thing. I think he's literally gone like, I'm good enough. I know I am. I think he wants more. That's only a good thing for Liverpool.
The thing is, James, he's carried the under-23s at times this season as well, isn't it?
No,
we know his talent. The fear is he's too good for youth football now. So if he doesn't start getting more chances soon, can you see him going?
I mean, but the under-23s need him as well. That's the problem he's in, where he's made himself the main man, and now they can't afford to be without him, but then he needs to sort of go above that level too. So he's in quite a difficult position. The club are in quite a hard position too, because obviously we don't get relegated down to the second division, do we?
No.
But
you might look at with Ryan Brewster and Harry Wilson, who you just mentioned there, or Ryan Kent, Ovie Ejaria, all these players that are going out on loan, bridging that gap between 23s and first team football in the Premier League. Go to a lower league Premier League club or go to a Championship club who you'll get game time for, because there's loads of people will be looking at him and thinking, I'll take a note of that Everton goal and looking further into him or scouting him, whatever. They'll know how good he is. He's picking the right team for him, I think that.
Right, cheers lads, that's where we'll finish today. Obviously, if you like, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Been reliably informed. I've hit 500 followers before going on air, so that's brilliant as we're on our road to 1,000 subscribers, which will hopefully be pretty soon. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll bring you more content very soon. Cheers. Bye.